Howdy guys, welcome in. Another video over here at racerxonline.com. This is another garage build, and out of all of the bikes that are out there right now, I think I have the most time on a Yamaha YZ450. Why, you ask? Well, it's one of my favorite bikes to go race. So when Aiden and I go racing, I feel like the YZ450F platform is the best for me to try to do the best I can when I go racing. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's perfect, right? So for me, if you ask me through my email, or even if you come up to me at the track, you say, hey, Keefer, I have a chance to buy a 2324 YZ450 or a 22. I still like a 22 chassis a lot, a little bit more planted. Sure, it didn't corner as well as this 24 right here, but to me, I like a bike that has a lot of stability and maybe a little bit less cornering. So this is where I bring in this guy right here, Adrian from Ride Engineering. I've been testing a lot of different things on a YZ450F lately, and I asked him, hey, we did a whole YZ450F garage build with Jamie at Twisted Development on the engine side of things. I would really like a specific chassis build for the YZ450F. So Adrian, I know you have a lot of bits and pieces that you offer for this bike. You actually have had this bike for 6 to 7 months testing. So just give us a rundown of what is on this bike and what's available for people to purchase for the YZ450F.
Sure. Well, we do have our 23.5 split triple clamps, the one-piece bar mount. We also added a braided steel brake line with our Billet caliper and a Honda master cylinder. And then we also added a a slightly longer performance link.
So let's stop right there. So why are we doing these specific things onto this bike? Well, for me, I need the YZ450F to be a little bit more planted, especially if you're coming wide open into a corner off throttle. It is a little bit twitchy. It is a little bit of a firmer feeling chassis. So Adrian, from a 22 millimeter stock offset, he worked very hard on the angle of the clamp itself, and we're going 23, 24, 23.5. So I kind of worked with him a little bit on that. Adrian went through several reiterations of this clamp to get the flex correct. There's nothing worse than you vet guys going out there and saying, I need some clamps for my bike, and then it just becomes super rigid. I hate that. So let's make the clamp look nice, but also perform better than the stock one. So Adrian really worked hard on that. And the front brake, look, you guys know I have a Brembo mod on my website that I like a lot on my bike. So Adrian went to work and did a Honda style front brake, correct? Mm-hmm. And then obviously the steel braided line with his own caliper. So that is a must on a YZ. The YZ450F has a front, like just mushy feel to the brake. Even when you bleed it, I get a lot of emails out there saying, what should I do? Well, here's your options right here. So, and then also suspension is a little bit finicky with this bike. It's soft, but yet it ramps up and it gets firm at the end of the stroke. So obviously I don't have much time on the linkage, so give us some background on that really fast.
Well, the link is just trying to be able to run a little bit less sag, but get the bike down and stick to the ground in like braking bumps and kind of make the bike feel more balanced. And that's the idea of making a longer performance link.
0.75 longer?
Just 0.75, and it just drops the rear 6 millimeters.
You vital warriors out there saying, I can't feel a millimeter. You're crazy, Keefer. Well, I'm going to call BS. You can feel a millimeter. I don't care if you're a novice to intermediate. These little minute changes do make a bike change a lot on the track. So I'm going to go try this thing out. Obviously, we got Dr. D muffler. For me, the YZ450F is an exciting engine feel, sometimes too exciting. I mean, what, you're 5'1"?
No, 5'6", thanks. But I am 145 pounds.
Right, he's a child. He doesn't need all that power. It's a 450. So trying to mellow and broaden that thing up a little bit. And then mapping?
I'm running your Keefer map from the beginning of the year. I don't know if there's been a better one since then, but I really liked it. I thought it gave it a little more bottom end and kind of just, I like a lot of bottom, and I like the bike to pick up right off the bottom. So you want to lug it, man. A lot of guys like a lot of bottom because they can run third gear. Right, and I can just kind of roll it.
Right.
Right. I even added a tooth to the rear sprocket more for that reason.
So you're up to a 50 rear?
Yes.
Okay. So we're on a 50 rear tooth sprocket. You have little trinkets on here, obviously oil plugs, timing plugs. You have your own chain blocks. Yeah, sure. So that is nice. The markings are etched in there really nice, so you can't really mess that up, which makes it really easy to do. Mm-hmm. And then also, something that we don't normally have on bikes is Bridgestones. Remember those? Bridgestone X31 tires. I did a review on my website about them. I really liked them. I haven't had that much time on them, so I'm going to spend some time on these things at Fox Raceway today. And SDG seat, same standard foam.
Yes.
Monkey butt on this bike at all?
I mean, I wish there was more foam, yes. But what's bitching about this seat cover, it's been on here 20 hours. It still looks brand new.
Yeah, so a lot more grip than the stock one. You guys know about that. Adrian has his own Pro Taper bar band on here. Looks like a Carmichael band to me.
It's actually the Husqvarna band.
Husqvarna stock and Carmichael band are really close in the Pro Taper world. And then you're a big ODI lock-on guy.
Yes, I just wanted it to be a lot like my KTM, have the same feel, same bars, same grips, same levers. I like the Honda lever. It's more like a Brembo. What's cool about this bike is if you're not a Yamaha guy, you can kind of change the levers and it won't feel like a Yamaha. It doesn't feel like the old 22 chassis.
Yep.
It feels a lot more like a Honda, KTM, or whatever you're riding.
Spoken like a true vet rider, the KTM. He wants his Yamaha to feel more like a KTM. That is exactly what I hear a lot of from you guys. So I'm going to go ride this thing, give you some input on each piece that he added here, talk about the chassis parts, the suspension, and if it is actually better than stock. So stay tuned. Busy day here at Fox Raceway, as you can see from the GoPro angles. Lots of people on the track here. If you guys aren't from Southern California, you might be like, how are all these people on the track? But no split practices, just throw you out there, and we're wrapped up almost 1 o'clock here today. So 2024 YZ450 with all of Adrian Ride Engineering parts. So again, this is strictly just a chassis kind of feel build, what I want to relay out there to you guys that have a Yamaha, what you can improve on. So 2 points of interest, like I said on the top of the show, that I really like on the track and the reasons why. 23.5 millimeter clamps, and you might be asking, Keefer, what's 23.5? Why 23.5? Why doesn't he just go 24 millimeter? Well, that's a great question. The reason why is because X-Trig has a 24 millimeter offset, and he's trying to separate himself a little bit from the X-Trig brand. Nonetheless, 0.5 millimeters, could you feel it? It's debatable, right? So, nonetheless, with this split 23.5 clamp, this Yamaha does get calmer. So the feeling from the stock clamp I get is I get a little bit more of a planted feel around the track. It's almost like your wheels are sucked down to the ground a little bit better, and I don't get that off-throttle front-end twitchy feeling that I get sometimes, even with the 22 millimeter stock clamp with the fork drop-down flush. When I do ride a Yamaha in stock form, I do drop that fork height to 2 millimeters to flush here in Southern California. Now, you East Coast guys that just came from back there last week, I would raise that back up to 4 millimeters. That's really important. Get some front end steering. But with this 23.5 millimeter Ride Engineering clamp, you have more room, you have more freedom. So for me, you can run this up 5 millimeters in the tubes here. You can run the tube up to the clamp, 5 millimeters. That'll still get you better stability than stock, but give you a little bit more front end feel if you are a front end steering rider like me. He has it up at 6 millimeters right now. So if it was my bike, obviously I would get a little bit of a beefier setting on the fork valving, and then I would put my fork height at 4 millimeters. But nonetheless, this part is actually really, really good. I wasn't a fan of aftermarket clamps on the previous generation YZ450s, but with this one, it's a little bit more finicky than the old bike, so I do prefer a little bit longer of a feel on this Yamaha, so the Ride Engineering split clamp is nice. Will you get more bump compliance from this triple clamp? No. It's not any better in that area, so that small bump feel, slap down jumps. You're not getting more comfort from this versus stock, but you're not gonna gain a lot of rigidity. That's what I really need from a bike. I don't want my bike to be rigid, and this bike is already stiffer from the 22, so I don't want to go any stiffer. So you don't get that much comfort added with this on slap down and bump touch, but you're not gaining any rigidity, which I like. Another point that I really appreciate is this front brake. He basically has this whole system that he can sell you guys, and it's basically a Honda Master, and then you're going down here to one of his calipers. It's a linear feel, so you're not getting a real firm feel from the front brake, but nonetheless, you have a lot of power there, which makes it easy to modulate through corners, especially here at Fox Raceway today. We have these shallow ruts, which we call dishes. You East Coast guys have way deeper ruts than we do out here, but nonetheless, you can drag this brake a little bit and have your front wheel follow those shallow ruts better with this linear feel, unlike the stock Yamaha where, man, it's just super spongy, and then you have to pull it really far in to make it work, and there's still not a lot of power there. So easier to make your bike come into a corner and stop sooner with this brake setup versus the stock setup. Now, another point of contention for me, I don't really feel his linkage. He has that 0.75 longer arm in the rear. Honestly, I told Adrian when I got off the bike, I don't really notice that much difference. So for me, it's a wash. I'm pretty honest with these videos here, and I just said, look, I don't mind the stock pull rod. So for me, take it or leave it. If you guys do want a little bit more straight line stability, or to drop your rear end because you are a little bit of a shorter rider like Adrian, you can go to this pull rod, and it will drop your rear end a little bit. And I do notice that when I ride. Look, this Enzo suspension, I have a set at my house with my valving. It's way better than stock, but his stuff is set up for him. He's 140 pounds, so it is soft for me. So I was a little rear end low out there, and I think it made it worse with that linkage. But I'm also 6 foot, so I don't need it. So for me, that's more of a wash, but you shorter guys, you might want to look into those rods. And then if you do look into those pull rods, like he said, go up to 100 to 102 millimeters of sag, and that'll balance this bike out for you. Other little bits and pieces, obviously he has Ride Engineering caps all over this place. He has the Ride Engineering axle blocks. That's a lot easier to adjust your chain. And for me, the Dr. D muffler, really smooth off the bottom end. Maybe a little bit too smooth for my liking. If you East Coast guys want more snap, maybe this muffler isn't the exact choice you'd want to go to, but it does make it really rideable. So if you feel like your engine is too much, this Dr. D does really smooth the low end out and makes it long and linear. So there's not too many other guys out there that know a Yamaha better than Doug Dubach. So nice looking piece, but just makes it a little bit too smooth for me here at Fox Raceway today. Also, Bridgestone X31 tires. It's been a minute since I rode with those. I'm not really hating on these tires. Actually, I'm really picky on a front tire. I do like these tires, the front tire especially, better than a Michelin or even a Dunlop MX33. I don't think it's better than a 3S or a 34, but it does have some nice lean angle traction, and the rear, I really don't have no problem with it. There's a lot of soft pockets here at Fox Raceway along with hard pack insides, and the rear end track's really nice. I do like how you can brake slide. I'm sure Spencer has some videos of me when I come into a corner, come wide, brake slide, and then cut across the track. That Bridgestone X31 rear tire does that really well. So all in all, what you're getting with Adrian's package here is just a more compliant and stable machine, which I needed from this Yamaha. So it's quite a bit of a difference for me, and you can even go further with some engine mounts and things, but he doesn't have that on there, but that can add to the package as well. For me, that's what I have on my personal bike at home, 23.5 millimeter clamps, as well as FCP engine mounts, and that really just makes this bike glued to the ground a lot more than the stock one. So thanks to Adrian and the guys over at Ride Engineering. You can check out all of his parts at ride-engineering.com. If you have any questions about all this stuff, Kris at KeeferInkTesting.com is my email. I'm happy to answer them and give you guys a direction. If they work, if they don't, I'll give you the straight answers here, and as well. If you guys see me at the track, come by and say hi, and we can discuss your bike as well. So thank you for joining me, and don't forget to subscribe to Racer X. 12 issues, $30. Get yourself a free calendar, and stay tuned for more of these informative yet entertaining videos here at racerxonline.com. We'll see you on the next one.